How about now? Can you hear me? Oh boy. I'll have to change my microphone settings. Noise removal. Let's go up a little bit on that. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Okay. I wanted a little bit of ambient music this time. Let me know if the music is too low or too loud or... On a scale of 1 to 10, how loud is the music compared to my voice? Oh, interesting. I can never... I'm just trying it out. Also, there's supposed to be a chat on the side of my face next to me. I guess I didn't... I'll just put that low. But you can hear me. I'm coming through okay? Okay, good. Good. What's up, guys? Also, shout out to Harris Heller for doing the Lord's work and just releasing a bunch of music for streamers for free. Stream beats is what he calls them. It's just always so quiet in here. I feel like, you know, why not fill that quiet void? The music is quite low. Here, you might hear it now. All right, what's up, guys? How you guys doing? I'm slowly turning the music up as I'm like gauging what people are saying based on what the music, like the volume of the music. So I'm just slightly turning it up and seeing your reactions. How's everything with me? I'm good. I have no earthly clue how to fix this YouTube streaming is very difficult to integrate with my software. But I'm using a better software now. I'm not using OBS, so it'll probably not crash as much. But I'm doing good. I'm sleepy. I need more coffee, but I feel like I don't know if it's too late for me to drink anymore. I might. We'll see. A from Nebraska. What's up, Nebraska? It's catchy music, I'm not gonna lie. I had to pre-select like a few things that I like the sound of, and I hadn't even listened to all of this, so this will be a first time for both of us. For both of us, you and I. Here, let me pinch in a little bit. Pinch in, punch in. I look a little bit a mess, but that's okay. Royalty free indeed. There's supposed to, right here, there's supposed to be the chat going down, but I haven't, I don't know how to plug that in. I'm working on it. I hope you are happily married with children. Was that meant for me? Because no, I am not married, nor do I have children. In this economy? Good lord. A blessing would be being financially stable enough to pay rent, let alone have a child. Have you had weird things happen to you since you started speaking out against these people? Oh yes. Not anything too crazy, but you know, there's always tomorrow. Did they stop? Oh my god, I'm actually getting quite distracted by this. Let me pause this real quick. I'm gonna pause this. Am I in a band because of my hair? You can be honest. You think every long-haired person's in a band, don't you? Yeah. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you think that, Gerald. They haven't been going through my trash cans, although it would be hard to do so. Oh, does that mean you're single? Wouldn't you like to know? It's a MIDI. Do I have a keyboard in my background? Yeah, it's a MIDI keyboard. I don't use it as much as I used to, but I probably will. I mean, I bought the damn thing, so it'd be dumb to not use it. Do I get cease and desist threats? No, actually, Scientology hasn't sued anybody in over 20 years, or in about 20 years, I should say. So, you know, I don't really think they're going to come after me, especially because it proves to the way they go after people is in such a way where they would have to expose personal information about me through my through one of the many folders, I guess, that I have at Scientology. So this would kind of they lie and say that they've kind of canceled the whole fair game policies with Scientology. So they would have to then expose me in such a way to where anyone in my family would then know if they left, then the same thing would happen to them. Like, it's a lie that they're kind of trying to sort of perpetuate. And all my parents have to do is ignore me. Debbie Cook. Funny enough, Debbie Cook got the bag. Let me tell you. Debbie Cook left Scientology. She escaped the gold base in Hemet, California, and Scientology sued the shit out of her, and then she was deposed for like hours, and toward the end of the day, I think it was for 2 days, honestly, and by the end of the second day, Scientology was so utterly embarrassed at how much evidence she had against them that they settled the case and paid her, and she has resigned herself to seclusion since then. Nice sword, thank you. I like it very much. It's a practice sword, so it's not sharp. But it's heavy enough. It's sick as fuck. Also, I don't have a lot of background stuff, so I thought making more background stuff would be helpful. Also, it would look a little better to y'all. Berg and I released a video on the same day. Coincidence? My father releases so much, Dr. Berg releases so much content so aggressively that he forgets that he's already made the same content and will just repost. Sometimes I'll check in on Instagram, and most of his posts are either just clips. His editors are actually working these days more than they used to. And they'll just repost clips of him while he's at his farm in Virginia, or videos from years ago, like videos from like 7 years ago, when we were at this old house that I grew up in. So he just really doesn't care about the quality of the content. He just wants to put it out. And for all that he talks about his like, oh, keto's going to help your brain, or I'll just say for all that he says that his plan will like help your brain health and help your eyes, he wears glasses now. And he also has a terrible memory, awful memory. So, you know, that's just a small little personal anecdote there. The music was distracting. The music was distracting me. It was a nice idea, but I think I'll do it more for like ambient stuff or the in-between stuff. Like I have a couple screens that I can put up, you know, for starting and ending. A be right back screen. I might just use the music for that. Am I going to do more interviews? Guys, So I have an interview lined up for tomorrow. It's going to be pretty cool. I'm going to see if I can post it. I don't know if it'll be recorded on video, but I'll post the audio either way. But then next week, I have an interview that I've been waiting for 4 months. And let me tell you, I am so fucking hyped for this interview. And you should be too, because it is with somebody that I have. I'm not gonna say who. You're gonna have to find out, because I don't know when it's gonna come out. We record next week, but I don't know when it's actually gonna come out. So, but it is something I have been waiting for a while, and something I didn't expect. It's with somebody that I admire, we'll say. An interview of your dad. Are you on drugs, Gerald? Put the bong down. All right. Put the ratchet back in the GB. Carefully. You want the air to blow out all the ashes. It's not a Scientologist. And I'm not going to tell you who. No LRH music today? You wish. You wish I played that monstrosity. Maybe. I mean, if y'all want it. Gerald says, for the people. It is for the people, and you're going to find out. Put down the bong and pick up the cans. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Did I even post that? I feel like I just made that up in my mind. Okay, I did post it. What was this question? I heard a question. Just want to say thank you for speaking out and giving and getting out and living your best life. You're welcome. I mean, yeah, a lot of people are grateful that I'm calling out Dr. Berg, and I'm just doing it more as like a labor of duty. This guy, there's a lot you don't know about him, and his attitude is such to where I think he's just more interested in money than he is in anything else. And what he loves more than money is Scientology. And what Scientology loves more than Dr. Berg is Dr. Berg's money. So you see, there's this fun little back and forth. I feel like if I can shed a good light and educate people on what they're spending money on, then, they can save their money, because you should spend your money on things that actually matter and not funnel it into a human trafficking cult. Do I have siblings that left the church also? I have 2 siblings, but they are still very much involved in the church. The cult, I should say. An interview of, again, on the interview with my dad. If you can get him on an interview, I'll interview him. If you can, the thing is, he's gonna block you the second you type my name into his comment section. The second you bring me up or try to talk about it, he'll block you preemptively. He is not interested in having a conversation that he knows he'll lose. That's how much of a coward he is. Just to put a little cherry on the top of that answer. Would LRH like what Miscavige is doing? Now, that's a big one, but probably not. I don't think LRH knew what he was doing. I mean, L. Ron Hubbard was a paranoid, sociopath who, also started a cult. So, I think in the sense of he thought his whole head canon, the whole lore he came up with is probably, I think he probably valued that to some degree because he thought he was the source of all intelligent knowledge because he's the Antichrist and he's Buddha and he's this and he's that. Prism chat source is not available for streams that do not support live chats. Okay, we've gotten to the bottom of that. That's why you're not seeing this chat on the side of me. Maybe it'll work on Twitch. But I don't think he would like what Miscavige is doing because Miscavige is... he's not really doing anything but brazenly milking every Scientologist he can for as much money as he can get away with. And just lying to them, honestly. Have you ever noticed how folks with big egos like LRH attract other folks with big egos? Hey, that's not true, Rachel. I'm not attracted to LRH. It's a self-report. For comedic purposes, I presume. What are my hobbies, favorite food, music, bands? That's a loaded question. I like cheeseburger. And I like french fry. And I like chicken tendy. And I like a hot dog. So that answer will cost you $7,000. I like too much music to really nail down a favorite, although I've been listening to Thornhill quite a bit. Thornhill's pretty sick. They're like a metal band. If there is anything someone could do for you, what would you ask for? This is it. I didn't have time to think about it. Oh God, mind is blank. I have no idea how to answer that question. Do I think my siblings will ever leave? Maybe. There's a mental instability sort of thing. They don't really have a foundation to fall back on. They don't really have any support because they don't believe support exists outside of Scientology. They think everyone outside of Scientology is some broken, psych drug obsessed zombie. You know, it's a weird sort of mental process, but they don't even look at it. They don't even think about it because of the scrutiny that they would go under via the church. If they were to leave, or if they were to think about leaving, if they're critical about how, the cult functions, the cult hammers down on them internally. And my brother works for the Church of Scientology in D.C. on 16th Street. So, he's in there, but he works for the sort of ethics section. So he's one of the people who brings the hammer down. So if anyone in my family was thinking of dissenting, he would immediately write them up. He has the most to lose. He has 2 kids, a wife who's also who works in the same building. The rest of his family's in Scientology, and his brother is some evil SP who, just wanted to be treated fairly. But, that's selfish of me to not want to be treated like shit in a cult. So in lieu of actually looking at the reality, I'm just a suppressive person. So he's disowned me. Yeah, I think I maybe disowned him. If you think about it. Does your family or the church ever reach out to you directly? So that's not really how Scientology works. When Scientology views you as an enemy and you are declared what is known as a suppressive person, or an SP, as you'll hear it, they go out of their way to cut you off and block you. Like, the less data they know, the better. Like, even if you're interested in learning why they left, usually management will just make up a reason and feed it to the family like a little spoon in the, open wide, here comes the airplane. They're so dependent on this group because they've given so much of their lives to it. So the idea that they are in a dishonest or they can't trust their group, is sort of out of the scope of their understanding. It's really just I think I mentioned this in one of my videos, but you're not allowed to think freely or do your own research. You're more you suffer the consequences of doing your own research, whether internally or with the church personally. He's a crazy man. He's very crazy man. Barron Trump, just out of left field. Just pop a Barron Trump there. We got Barron Trump in the chat. I'll do an interview with Barron, because his family's like a cult. So typical American food. Yes. I've often wondered what limits Scientology puts on types on music. Most good music could easily be called too negative on the face of it. Sure. It's not, it depends on who you talk to. Scientology is what Scientology can just be like what it is in the mind for the individual Scientologist. A lot of Scientologists kind of make up their own rules. Especially like because it deals with such conceptual ideology. Like, we deal with flows, which are mental intentions that are just as real as, let's say, physical action. So if you think about, let's say you're married and you think about, you see a curvaceous woman at the grocery store and you're like, gosh, whoo. Oh my, she is one fine slice of cake. That is in itself just as actionable ethically as going over and flirting with her. So it'd be called what's called a 2D flow, or 2D stands for second dynamic, which is a term in Scientology that just means having to do with the person you are dating or married to or having a relationship with, or like the intention you have for your nuclear family, kind of things like that. But the flow itself would be just as real to them. So you're dealing with kind of this nebulous sort of nebulous concept where Scientology can mean whatever it means to your own interpretation. It's not supposed to be interpreted, but people make mistakes, and when you make a mistake in Scientology and you're in charge, you hide that mistake by justifying or making up a reason why you were right, or what have you. Shay, thank you very much. Do you have a question? I'll answer a question if you got one. Unless they're rich and famous. That is correct. Gerald coming in clutch with some valuable info here. Redemption arc, Gerald. Redemption arc. That is the exception. If you are rich and famous, you get the VIP treatment. But to go back to the question of music, like if there's negative music and you've been listening to it and it's something that uplifts you, you can, it's not a problem for you. And it won't really come up. Like, I don't really care about music unless it's like a musician who is an SP or declared or whatever. Have I sought therapy of any kind? Absolutely. And I recommend it to everyone. How come Eric couldn't become a real doctor? He does not see that as valuable. He thinks he's already smart enough. He can read his 40-year-old, uh, medical journals and not learn any updated information and not evolve his viewpoint to actually think critically of medicine. He doesn't find it valuable. He also doesn't want to feel demeaned, probably, because of his narcissism. He doesn't want to go to medical school and have people look down on him in any way. That would bring the boo-hoos out, and that's not for him to. That's not for him. Well, you have a lot of fangirls. Yeah, I don't know why me 6'4", 220-pound guy would have fangirls. I don't care about that at all. I don't need that kind of attention. So because I just don't care, Not like it's cool to not care or anything. I just, it's just not. It's just not my thing. Listen, if you're thirsty, you can have a sip, but don't expect the full glass. That's what I'll say. You're allowed. I live not too far away from the Dallas Scientology building. If I were to walk in there, is there anything I could say to a staff member that might make them question it? You could. Now, you kind of have to use their own information against them. A lot of Scientologists have barred themselves from learning about Scientology's crimes because, you kind of have to like stump them with something. And it depends on the person, really. But relating to them in some way and then using what like, for instance, being critical in Scientology is the sole source of critical thinking, it is said in Scientology, is something called committing overts. And an overt is a sort of transgression against your own agreed upon code of conduct. And when you're in Scientology, the agreed upon code is Scientology's code. So, it's you could, if somebody's like critical of you being critical of Scientology, you can just throw it right back at them, being like, what have you done to me? What have you done to SPs? Or what have you done to psychiatry? Like if they bring up psychiatry or whatever, well, what has Scientology done to psychiatry? I mean, that's not going to really resonate because, there's like an IQ barrier sometimes, but you can, there's always usually going to be somebody to physically remove you from the building. If you get to, you can leave them the Aftermath Foundation cards. I know you can get those. I'm sure that they're gonna update their website at some point to make it a little more palatable and like more resource dense. But we'll get it figured out. But yeah, it's I don't think Scientology wants to recruit poor people. That's true. When I was out book selling, when I was on staff in Atlanta, we would go book selling downtown, and we were discouraged from um, trying to sell to homeless people or poor looking people or people who look disheveled. One guy got really angry with me because he didn't acknowledge me on the street, and so I didn't acknowledge him. And there were a lot of biases that I kind of got over after I left, but he called me out on it, and he was like, "Oh, so you're not gonna sell it to me because you don't think I need it." Now, he probably thought it was because I was racist or something, but it was really not it. It was more of like, when you're in Scientology, you go where the money is. The idea is you need to go where you think, pick out people who you think have money on them, because at the end of the day, the VFP, or the valuable final product of the entire org, or the church building, is to make money, and is to make more money every week. So, it's like it's hidden. There's so many details, but when you work there and you're saturated in it and you grow up with it, you can kind of boil down, what's the brass tacks of what we're doing here? And it's money. And you could very easily get out of most ethical situations if you had money to spend, and if you donated towards something. Like, you could, let's say, if you were in an ethical dilemma, if you were in an ethics program that was made for you and you did something wrong, if you purchased some Scientology books or courses or services for another person, that would be making up the damage to the group. And it would, which is part of the, I don't know if you see my recent video, but check it out if you haven't. I talk about ethics conditions and the condition formulas. And there's steps that you do in each formula. And one of them has to do with, dealing an effective blow to the enemies of the group. And the group is just whatever group you violated. You violated your ethics on, or whatever. So it's kind of like, oh, well, if you think about it, if I donate to get somebody on Scientology, or to get somebody moving on Scientology, not only is that dealing an effective blow to the enemies of Scientology who don't want people to be in Scientology because it's the only good, way to go in life. And also, it's making up the damage because I'm showing my devotion to the group, yada, 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 yada. Hydration is important. I wonder if Farrakhan is still on the payroll. He is, man. That guy is just as narcissistic, I found. I didn't even know about him and all that. Like, I was so focused on like Scientology. I don't know how to pronounce this. Remsi. Thank you so much. Thank you for what you were doing, Ian. You're welcome. And I'll continue to do it because it's actually getting pretty fun. It was real hard in the beginning, honestly, to like I like to, write stories and, do the, I mean, not too much recently, but I like to write, and I like to tell stories. And it was so easy for me to, before I left, write fiction. And then when I left, it's like, oh, now people want me to write the real stuff. And that was just like, where do I even start? But it's getting easier, and it's getting a lot more fun. Thank you, In and Out. Oh, you're welcome back, In and Out. Did you say that the first 5 million subscribers your dad had were legitimately earned? To my knowledge, he really didn't know. I think when I left and I started speaking out against him, he got so many like connections from the cult who could help kind of bury the lead as to, bury my content, as well as, boost his SEO. He had people he actually had to try. because no one who actually knew him was actually speaking out against him. So, um, you know, he had this uh, he had this urgency, I guess, that was doubled by this cult who had like all these connections to these people who are in the cult who do these sort of nefarious online dealings of, they're very good at covering their tracks, and they probably told him, don't respond to anything, don't respond to any of them, they're all SPs, they're all evil, they're all this, they're all that. It's like, his narcissistic ass is like, yeah, no, that makes sense. And he just I think he thinks that if he increases the quality of his content, that it's going to just like make everybody forget that he is donating to a dangerous cult. But let's just say there's a piece of him that we'll never forget. And that piece has his own YouTube channel. And that piece of him is not happy about the destruction that he's left in his wake. So frustrating. Why bother having notifications if they don't actually notify you? Oh, well, I'm here now. I just, seconds before I started the stream, learned how to schedule a live. So that's on me. That's my bad. Hey, Joanna. Welcome back. Oh, I'm shiny today. I'm a little oily. Can't stay, but hey, happy for you making it out of that blood-sucking cult. Thank you, Beachcomber. I'm happy too. I've never been happier, honestly. Yeah. I mean, my video today, I kind of shot myself in the foot today because I think the title of the video, there was nothing in the video that I posted today that was demonetizable, but I think I fucked up when I made the title. The title did mess with the monetization a little bit, but I'm still happy to, if I change it, I change it, but either way, it's staying up. It's more about getting the information out than it is for making money. I'll figure it out. Do I stream on Twitch also? I'm going to try. I started this gaming YouTube, and I don't know if I will keep that one up because it's kind of, I did it in a weird way to where I use like a different email. I just don't think I did it the right way, so I might have to start another one and and link it with my Twitch, and because tomorrow the Dead Space remake comes out and it's already preloaded on my desktop. I'm looking at this little icon right here. Oh my god, I am so excited to play that. I'm gonna play it all day. I'm recording something. I have an interview in the morning, and then I have something else. Probably be afternoon. It's more like 2 p.m. ish tomorrow. Ideally. But yeah, I want to plug this into Twitch and get that working because sometimes there's a big chunk of people who stay for the Q&A who just I can assume that I'll lose about 75% of those people the second I turn on a game. So I'd like to have it separated, but it is it's hard sometimes, especially when I want to like keep it interesting, but my interests and I guess like the interests of talking about the cult sort of overlap poorly with my interest in gaming, especially when they're bloody games like Wolfenstein or Callisto Protocol, which I did beat recently. And Dead Space is going to be very bloody. So I don't think, 76-year-old Susan, who's rooting for me, bless her heart, is going to be too interested in all that violence. Mickey, from Ian's first video till now, there is such a difference in him. I'm really proud of how he's doing and how happy he is. Sorry, I sound like an aunt or a grandma.
Well, that's all right. Who's this then? Ian, oh, I remember that boy. He's a nice young boy.
Some people think I'm a child. Some people say I'm a kid. I don't know how old you think I am. Maybe I just didn't say. But I am not a child. I'm a full-grown adult. But thank you, Mickey. You don't sound like a grandma. I've heard much, much more infantilizing supportive comments. But yeah, I mean, my first video was so long ago. To me, I mean, I didn't even really know what to say. I remember even at the end, I was like, I'm not going to go to Leia Remini. But I didn't really know what I was saying. I was more answering sort of the demand for people wanted to know why I left, because I had made, if I had left, what was going on when I made the TikTok, right? So I kind of just made it. And then I educated myself a little more on the topic of Scientology that I'd been missing. And it got easier to consider being in opposition to the cult, because if I hadn't have done that, I don't think I'd be where I am today, and I don't think I would have the sort of wherewithal to even have gotten therapy, which helped me tremendously. So it's fun. You have boomers rooting for you.
Darn Skippy.
How old am I? I'm 26. I turned 27 at the end of April. Some say I'm a grandma with my chronic illnesses and cross-stitch passion. Listen, you're allowed to love what you do.
That's what I say. Back in my day, we had stick and hoop. Oh, I loved stick and hoop.
Gerald says, still a youngster. Go back to stick and hoop, Gerald. You're a baby. That's disgusting, Juliana. Pedophile. From your perspective, I think. Oh, she's typing away furiously. I can already hear it. You got to go to ethics. Well, it's good because ethics will cover that up like they usually do. So many ethics. I've known people who have had to handle that kind of situation where they were dealing with a pedophile in the church, or someone who had actually abused children. Because there is that minute difference. There's people who are attracted to children, and then there's this like the group of people who touch children as well as being attracted, you know? So both are usually protected by the cult. But, you know, they're much lighter on you if you haven't actually uh, done anything. You know, it's disgusting, but that's a cult for you. You know, they still have money in their pockets. You know, we're all just saying our ages. Good. All right. All right, class. Now let's pass around the talking stick. That is disgusting. Yeah, it's very disgusting. My ex-wife actually used to talk about this person because she was an auditor in Perth, Australia, and I think she's like the only auditor there because everyone's left or, you know, doesn't want to go in, and there's just had this small kind of group. Nobody wants to join staff these days, but she was auditing somebody who was like talking about how he was, you know, scared that he would, you know, he kept going to playgrounds and he was scared that he might do something, and he kept describing. You're inclined to describe your mental thought processes a lot in auditing sessions. So he was going into detail about the things he wanted to do, and she was disgusted by this. But when I was like, you need to report this man to the police, she would say something like, well, he's still a productive staff member. And then I was like, oh, he's on staff. Oh, great. That's fine. He's just on staff. He's productive. So therefore, there is no reason to report this predator to the authorities. Yeah, that's ethical, I'm sure. I would have called the police, but he's in Australia. I don't know. Their like area codes are like 6-1 before their like country code is like 6-1, and then they got a bunch of numbers. I don't want to deal with all that. But I didn't really know where to start at the time. I think she ended up getting somebody else to audit him. The Vatican does do that. Although I would say that Scientology's, I mean, not like there's too many people in Scientology. There's only about 25 to, I wouldn't even say to 30,000 because it's declining constantly. But, you know, around 20 to 25,000 members in the world. However, when you're in, I'd say the ethics system, the ethics and justice system that they have in Scientology is way more manipulative than the Catholic Church. In how they deal with it also. And there's a lot of shredding, a lot of, you know, just they don't put reports down. If, you know, sometimes there's like a process where if they know it's going to be legally liable to the church itself, they stop putting anything on paper, and they just handle it verbally. Too loud. Am I too loud? Rasputin thinks I'm too loud. I'm sorry, bud. I'm here in Melbourne. Hi, hey, greetings from Melbourne, or greetings to Melbourne. When you were here in Perth, did you get to travel to other Scientology sites in Australia? No, I actually, this was around the beginning of COVID, so I didn't even get to see the Perth org because it was closed for, they had to close for a specific period of time, especially in Australia, because Australia actually gave a shit about COVID, which is why they locked it down. They locked everything down. That's why they were allowed to beat the beat the numbers, and why they didn't allow us grubby Americans back in. But they canceled my flight, so I was there for like a month longer than I meant to be. I'm in Dubai and it's 2 a.m. staying up to listen to the live stream. Well, I should answer your other question then. What happens when someone leaves Scientology? Well, Scientologists, when you kind of first show interest, they will say, well, anyone can just leave Scientology. It's not a problem. Which is, I guess, on its face, as a statement, true. Anyone can leave Scientology. However, there's a lot of emotional manipulation involved. They also they believe that if the technology of L. Ron Hubbard, if they believe the technology of Scientology isn't working on you, or you're what's known as a no case gain pre-clear person being audited or doing services, or no case gain student or whatever, that you are secretly a suppressive person. This alone is enough to have a negative reputation in your local org. And if you leave, and because something bad happened, which is mostly the case, somebody was rude to you, or somebody treated you poorly, or someone was lying to you. I was lied to for like when I joined staff, they lied to me about how much money I would make, what I would do, the expectation of how much staff member, like how many people I would help. It was a fabrication completely. And just to get the staff numbers up. And once I signed the contract, well, I signed the contract. If I break the contract, there's a 2.5 year or 5 year contract. If I break either, I am what's called blown, which is just means an unscheduled departure, which is an indication again of a suppressive person. So, there's all these ways to make you the bad guy. And if you leave Scientology, that's fine, but you're a piece of shit and you are secretly evil. And we're sure it's because you were doing bad things. It has nothing to do with the church. It has nothing to do with Scientology not working. You're just doing bad things. And so, of course, you're going to feel, it's all baked into their lore that you leaving makes you the bad guy. And if you talk out, if you, talk about like, if you say things bad publicly, like I have, you get publicly declared a suppressive person. And they have full rights to, the cult gives itself full rights to bash you publicly and suppress you, and in their own ways, and treat you like shit. And I had people, friends that I had since childhood, who were also born into Scientology, who I went trick-or-treating with as a child, who, when I left Scientology many years later, they were going through my friends list and DMing all my friends saying, he's actually a really bad guy, so you need to block him. And it was surprising, but I was actually tired of being abused. And I was actually tired of feeling like shit all the time, and tired of the depression, and tired of Scientology not working. So the second I asked why to someone who wasn't a propaganda-induced zombie robot, I had answers. And, it freed me from the chaotic restraints that I had put myself under. And it's honestly been an uphill or a downhill battle ever since. I mean, it's tricky. You got to learn a lot about how the mind works and how trauma works and how, PTSD manifests, and, you got to learn, you got to have a foundation. You got to grow one yourself, build it brick by brick. But it is so much better. I've, I've learned so much in the past 2 years than I did in. I mean, hell, I've learned so much within the span of a month that I did my entire study of Scientology. It's very. It's always going to be scary to leave something that you're comfortable with. And, you know, to the OSA rep watching this, or to any other Scientologists who might watch this now or in the future, it's always going to be scary. Life is not meant to be without emotion. You're always going to have it. You're always going to have good emotions, and you're always going to have bad emotions. But to be, to take the step for yourself in a direction that you choose, when nothing else has been working, is you're right. And, trying to be right all the time is going to, especially for someone else or for the group, is going to be exhausting, and it's going to lead to a lot of defeat. You're never going to be right all the time. So you kind of have to be okay with yourself, and, take a break when you need a break, and understand that next thing you're trying to fix, that a lot of Scientologists, I feel like, can relate to this. There's always like, the next thing you do in Scientology is going to fix your big problem. The next, oh, well, I have this, this core ruin or whatever that's holding me down. But, once I get to this next grade, or once I do this next course, or maybe the PTSSP course, you're going to be saying that until you're, old and your whole life is gone, and you're still depressed, and the depression will not stay sedentary. You will degrade. It will get worse biologically. The stress will harm you mentally eventually. And you'll realize you have no friends left except those who are watching you, from a distance. It's like, it's such the paranoia. I mean, I still even have, some leftover effects from the cult, but learning about it can be scary, but it's also going to be beneficial. And learning about what's really going on in your head and what's really happening in the world, and what your group is actually doing and refusing to take responsibility for, it always ends good. So, you always become more educated. You always come out more better than you were before. I've had some scary shit happen in Scientology, but, leaving was terrifying. And, now I've never been happier. So it's and I've never been more hopeful for the future. So it's a very, the leap is worth the effort. And the fall might be scary, but at the bottom is a jacuzzi of your own making. That's my analogy. Imagine Dr. Berg secretly watching. Well, he could, but I don't think I think he would click off pretty quickly. I don't think he has the patience. Who wants to be in an organization that promotes bashing? Well, if you've been led to believe, I should say, that your group is the most ethical, most well-intentioned group that there is, and there ever has been, because that's what they tell you, any opposition to that seems like a validation of their claim, because, all I see in my little bubble is them doing good things. And from my perspective, it's like, yeah, well, what about from another person's perspective? What about from the perspective of the child who was abused and they covered up that abuse? It's just, it just depends on, like, who you ask, because everybody's in it for, I guess, similar reasons, but mostly their own reason. So, if you think that, like my parents probably think, this group that we've given, we're responsible for how good this group is seen. And, my parents are very private people, extremely private. My mom had this whole big upset, this whole big conniption when their mansion address was like leaked online. And from their perspective, I have sort of switched sides. And now I'm, because I can't take it, or because I can't hack it in the most ethical group, I've joined whatever they think I'm in, the fucking big pharma conspiracy where I'm being paid by psychiatrists or something. It's very nebulous, and they'll think whatever they want to believe, whatever makes them, whatever validates them enough to stay in the cult. That's what they'll believe. Doesn't really have anything to do with truth, because they can call me at any time. My phone's right here. They could text me, they could reach out to me, they could email me, ask me what's actually happening, and I'd have a very open conversation with them. But they're not gonna. Because when you talk to a suppressive person, you're on the line, bud. Scapegoat, does that answer your question? I'm quitting. It's fine. Not really. Not really a big issue for me, though. I truly do respect you. You've given me hope during my first 3 months into a 6-month trial of no contact with my narcissistic, psychologically abusive father. Thank you. Absolutely. I mean, you're not alone. People who come from abuse and traumatic childhoods isolate themselves sometimes, and it's hard to feel like you belong anywhere when you've been, isolated and separated and mocked and made wrong. You believe these things about yourself, and so you kind of feel like you can't relate sometimes. But something my therapist reminded me of that really helped me was, all that self-doubt and everything bad that you're saying about yourself. Look at your life. What have you actually done wrong? What is really so immoral in your character? All that talk is just from the cult, or from those narcissistic people. It's them talking in your ear. And you don't have to feel like you're the best person in the world overnight, but you grow. And it does happen over time. If you just kind of want to be good because you have empathy, and because you haven't felt good in the past. So, maybe you want to be more optimistic, but it is a process. So, but over time, each little change you make will strengthen your integrity. And your self-esteem as well, because that is a big one. Your self-esteem, it's tough, but be careful if they contact you. I you know how much smarter I am than everyone else in my family, even my dad. Like I was singled out all the time as a kid because I was the straight man. Maybe it was my autism, or maybe it was, um, I just didn't like the drama. I didn't like. I couldn't see what they were talking about. They talked all this conceptual nonsense. It was like I wanted to see it before I really believed it. But they made me feel like shit all the time, and I I always had, I guess, better advice than they did. Nothing that ever came out of my mother's mouth that was advice to me wasn't from a L. Ron Hubbard book, So once I read all those books, I was like, wow, she really just had no idea how to be a parent. She just tried to Scientology me into success, which doesn't work because Scientology doesn't work. But they can't let themselves think that, because if it doesn't work, then what am I doing here? And then it's like a lot of chaos, a lot of fear. But it's the same thing. I got a question. Thank you. Do you want SLI? What is my favorite K-pop song? Well, oh God, I'm supposed to know what K-pop songs are. Okay, give me a second. I'm finding my favorite K-pop songs. K-pop, the A-list K-pop. My favorite K-pop song is apparently "Moonlight Sunrise" by Twice. Is that the correct answer? Is that right? It was at the top of my list because I have definitely listened to it, and I am not making this up. I did not just look it up at this very moment. I love them. I love Twice. Favorite person and or group. Okay, good song. Good song, they say. Okay, good. We'll just I'll I'll listen to it after this. I think I will get copyright claimed if I listen to anything that isn't royalty free. So I'll save my favorite song for later. Are all my family into Scientology, like grandparents, aunts, cousins, or do you have somebody? Actually, only my mother, father, brother, and sister are into Scientology. My grandparents, actually, my grandma, they're kind of, I think, too old to really get involved in the argument of are they good or are they bad. My grandma is, they're Christian. My grandma and grandpa on my dad's side. My almost everyone on my mother's side is now deceased, so I don't really have a lot of family over there anymore. But I have an aunt and a cousin who are not Scientologists, and they have actually been very supportive of me. And I appreciate the connections that I've been able to keep and maintain, through all this, because you really don't know who you can trust until, people show you that they care. Did he just Google that? No. I definitely did not just Google it. And that is all I will say about that. What's my favorite Japanese avant-garde jazz song? This is an easy one, actually. I think you already know what it is. So, I mean, recently it's the one that everyone likes. It's the I Can't Stop the Loneliness by Henri. Song's a fucking banger. There's also she does another one called Shyness Boy. Ooh, slaps. I listen to a lot of different kinds of music, but if it sounds good, I listen to a lot of metal, like a lot of death metal. But I actually the outro, I almost got copyright claimed. I had to re-edit I had to re-edit the end of the video because I tried to add a song that I liked in the outro, and it was not gonna fly. It was instantly not monetizable. Oh, let's start talking about my 20-year-old son is here now, so let's start talking about games. I have Star Citizen. I have the Star Citizen launcher on the other screen. Okay. It's a slow game. All right, so I think some of you will be able to tolerate it. I think Wolfenstein, which is one of my favorite games, Wolfenstein 2, is a little gory for the older crowd, although you shouldn't mind because it's about killing Nazis, and that's one of my favorite activities. But tomorrow, we play Dead Space. Dead Space, Dead Space, Dead Space. Who's hyped for Hogwarts Legacy? Not this guy, because I would prefer not to support J.K. Rowling. It looks like a cool game. Everything about it looks stellar, but I will not be buying it. I've only tried Elite Dangerous. I have that on PlayStation, but I did not. It was much harder to get into on console. This is her son, but I guessed. How's it going, bud? Pajama Party and Dead Space. I could wear pajamas. I might, because it's hot as balls in here. I have the window open, but that's in the other room, and this thing is further away than it looks, by the way. It insulates the heat. I have a fan that's just blowing my computer's heat all over this room. And I got the doors closed. If I open it, you'll see here. Let me see if I can make it a little cooler in here. Y'all like my shirt? It's one of my favorites. It's a crew neck, so I can't wear it too often. I have to get me a berry Capri Sun from the fridge. Oh no. I seem to have robbed another Capri Sun of its tool. I'm going to put that one back in the fridge. Those things are filled with mold. Capri Sun? Good. I'm not here for a good time. Have you tasted these things? You could tell me there's asbestos in this bad boy. You're like, is that what gives it that kick? Delicious. Muy delicioso. Why can't I wear a crew neck too often? Because I run hot. I like cold. I like it to be a very chilly. Comprende? Dr. Berg would say the fungus is a great source of vitamin D2. Dr. Berg could say your Wi-Fi router is giving you space aids. You'd probably believe him. Thank you, Haley. Do you like Faith No More, and what's your favorite song? I've never heard of that. I actually feel like I have heard of that, but I've never heard a song from them. Is it I was the I think oh this is probably a rollover from the K-pop gig or the K-pop bit. Faith. Let me look it up. Oh, that's K-pop, all right. Look at them. Oh, no, that's not K-pop. That's a bunch of white men. What are they doing here? Oh, goodness. This looks old. 1989? I'm going to listen to this 1 second. Nah, I'm good. Thank you for the suggestion, but I am it's not really my type, you could say. What about I Hate God? Maybe. That sounds pretty metal. A lot of anti-religious recommendations. That's not my only niche, you know. Ooh. Oh, is this like 1993? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, guys. Oh, this is just a high tone. A lot of asterisks. A lot of self-censorship. Here, y'all want my metal playlist? I'll give you my metal playlist. Top 5 on my metal playlist. You ready? All right, for instrumentals, we have Walking Across Jupiter. We got Whitechapel, Job for a Cowboy, Acacia Strain, Spite, and Within Destruction, and Slaughter to Prevail. But those are just that's just a couple. Okay, that's if you're thinking about what I'm interested in listening to. You're depending on your age range, I could say some of you won't like that too much. Oh, somebody's leaving. Yeah, I'd never heard of Faith No More. Try Seagrams. The soda? The soda water Seagrams? Weren't they funding Nexium? Again, this is almost older than me. Language in this song, goodness gracious. Jiminy Willikers. Potty mouth. Hi, hun. Do you believe that there's a big Scientology presence in Puerto Rico? Nice hat, sexy thing. Thank you. I do not. I think that Scientology projects itself as bigger than it is, all over the place. So they are trying to open up a church in Puerto Rico, but the ideal org program is, with all the new buildings, it's a scam, because they have all the money in the world to open these, but they literally just funnel the members' monies through these fundraisers to open their own orgs. You know, oh, you'll value it so much more if the people there fund it themselves, and they get these tens of millions of dollar, fundraising goals just for the building to not ever open. So this is happening all over the place. But I don't think it's a big presence in Puerto Rico. At one point, was Dr. Berg actually a decent human being? And if so, when did he start to be controlling, fatphobic, and schlockmeister? A schlockmeister. Schlockmeister. Let me Google that. Definition. A merchant who deals in shoddy or inferior merchandise. Incredible. The you have expanded my vocabulary, Christopher Hatch. Was a normal person starting out in chiropractic? Yes and no. I mean, he was about as normal as anybody. I can't say that he was never fat phobic, because that's sort of like a perception thing. That's sort of like a trained, like a learned behavior. So maybe his parents were fat phobic, or the people he idealized were fat phobic. Maybe he had certain, things about himself that he repressed, and it kind of festered inside of him. Maybe he was a little bisexual, and maybe that's why he hates the gays so much. But, and that's just basic psychology. But, there was a moment where there was a period where my mother saw him kind of not really, he wanted to actually do his business. He wanted to work on making money, and my mom wanted to spend that money on Scientology. So, they were kind of drifting apart. And so she devised this plan to surround him with more successful Scientologists than himself. And it kind of was meant to be like the start of his more narcissistic manipulation. And, they kind of pick him up, and, he got a lot of, he got a whole new customer base in Scientology, which boosted his ability to pay for things and to, I guess, do more shoddy research. And, it just pushed him to do more of what he was already doing. And then the influencer economy kind of boomed, and then he was already in that kind of niche. He found that's where most of his ad revenue was coming from. And so it was just a good marketing tool at the time. It's not like he did this methodically. He just kind of stumbled ass backwards into success. But now that he has it, nothing worse than when my IRL friends interrupt my immersion in chatting with strangers on the internet. Don't you hate that? Don't you just hate it? I don't think we have any Scientology buildings here, thankfully. Yeah, Dubai's not big on cults that they can't control, so I don't think they'd do well there. Although they might if David Miscavige sort of goes on a via through like a famous person, if he could get like some kind of oil prince or something into Scientology, they could weasel him in, but it wouldn't last very long, because there aren't really like depending on where you are, there's already a lot of religion there. And Scientology, the more you do of it, you realize that you're eventually supposed to abandon all other religious practices. So I don't think that that area, that region would be too susceptible to a change in religious demographic, if you ask me personally. I am near Munich. Is Scientology still active in Germany? I do not know. Actually, Germany has revoked Scientology's tax-exempt status because they kept breaking the law. Actually, 2 staff members, 2 Scientologists were just arrested not too long ago for trafficking money over, trying to evade sort of the German authorities in their financial reporting by taking money from in a briefcase over the border, right? So German authorities found this and prosecuted those people. And I don't think they might be in jail, but at the very least they were stopped, and they are no longer in Scientology. But they were directed by management to do this. But obviously management can just deny, you know? Here, let me switch these around so I can actually read y'all's stuff in front of my face. I have 3 pictures of myself on my screen right now, and it is not... I just don't know where to look.
I'm so dreamy, I just can't stop looking.
Let's make you smaller. There we go. I can't stop the loneliness. God, that song stuck in my damn head. Scapegoat, where's that at? You say we have a very elaborate, fairly new Scientology building here. Major city. There's no one ever there. There's literally only one person working. Yeah, it doesn't really matter where you're at, honestly, because that's basically every org. When I worked at the Church of Scientology Atlanta, all the events, all the international events that they do, where they broadcast David Miscavige saying, oh, all these orgs are expanding. It's such a bizarre thing. Please don't sing again. You wish. Now I want to sing more. See what you did? No, so the orgs are it made me lose my goddamn train of thought. You see like this artificial expansion, right, in all these events, and you think that you're the only org that's failing. So you can punish yourself more and more, and it's just the manipulation just goes so deep. Church of Scientology remains legal in Germany and is allowed to operate there. Its precise legal status, however, is unresolved. Right. So, but they're not getting benefits. They're not benefiting from German tax dollars, which they do plentifully in America. And they use those tax dollars to bash and discredit anyone who disagrees. They're going after Kellogg's. They're going after, they bash Leah Remini on Twitter constantly with their cult-run hate monitor, as they call it. It's the Stand League, the anti-discrimination arm, which it literally only serves to try to include themselves in the religious community like they give a shit. They are so self-absorbed. They just feel obligated to sometimes stick up for other guys. On their website, they have this hate reporter where you can report bigotry, and it's so pathetic because they do not care. The last person you want to ask for help, if you're being subjugated against, is Scientology. Okay? Good to see our taxpayer money being put to good use by police. I mean, they also pay off police in certain areas, especially in Clearwater and Los Angeles too. Especially Los Angeles, um, around where the in Hemet, California. I don't really know too much about California, but like geographically speaking, but yeah. Do you know of anyone who has attended the Delphian School in Sheridan, Oregon? I do. I went there for a summer. Okay. And that was to me, that was more or less a blast because they actually had all the stuff that they advertised. They had the archery, they had the horseback riding in the summer. And I was already used to all the Scientology indoctrination. That was already kind of part and parcel to my existence. But they had things that no other Scientology school I had. Like they had like a science class where you could like dissect frogs, and I'd never like, they don't care about science really beyond the basic stuff in other Scientology schools. Usually, to answer your question, my brother went there for a few years. And I know he met, and my sister went there for I think a little less than he did, but they became friends with Connor Cruise and Tom Cruise's daughter. I forget what her name is, but she and my sister stayed in touch with her when Tom Cruise's daughter was on staff in London, which I believe is she's still probably on staff out there. But when usually people like the dropout rate for Scientology schools is so incredibly high, and you're just kind of encouraged to, because they recruit you right when you're able to, like, kind of, oh, just get your GED and come on staff, and then you do that and everyone boosts you up, and then it's just kind of like you're just more encouraged to abandon traditional education. Dalrosa Surrey. No, his daughter he had with Nicole Kidman, the adopted daughter. I would make a great Scientologist. I'm passionate about both smoking and cursing. That's so real. That hits Bella. Yeah. Bella. Because my sister was sent up to London to do to England to do some services. She's bounced around here and there, but they became friends. I mean, I saw Connor Cruise all the time when I lived in Clearwater. I didn't talk to him because I had heard he was kind of a dick. But Scientologists are easy to bully, meaning they're quick to point out things that they don't like and get on their high horse and bully others, whether they be Scientologists or not. So, it's I didn't really click with those kinds of people, and so I kind of took people's advice when I heard that somebody wasn't maybe such a nice guy. I just let it go, But yeah, no, smoking and cursing are two of the ways you'd blend in, Just get one of those, just get a Scientology uniform, and like I don't have it, obviously. You have to turn it in when you leave, but it's just god-awful vests, these cheap, the uniforms are so incredibly cheap. They usually rip within the first, few months, and then you have to kind of supplant it with your own thing. The only thing you can't rip is the vest and the tie, or the vest and their dumb little ascots they give you. If you're a woman, if you get an ascot, you don't have to wear it usually, but there's like a dress code. There's also like a makeup manual, like you have to wear makeup and you have to look. They do that in a lot of places, but at what age do they start cursing? Whatever age they want. I mean, depends on who you're talking to, but usually you get very frustrated. Scientologists are not good at managing their emotions when they are trying to get things done because you're around a lot of very incompetent people because you're in a cult. You don't really realize that until you're out, but so you end up getting very frustrated that nobody knows what to do. And when you tell them to do something, they go off and they do their own thing. And you're like, well, what the fuck is your problem, you dumb, stupid piece of shit? And, yeah. Oh, in Clearwater, speaking of smoking, there's a whole area outside one of the buildings that they've recently they fenced off, but it's a small little narrow corridor where during lunchtime, because I used to smoke cigarettes when I was training out there at Flag, there's this deep kind of little area that you go into where there's just like almost 100 Sea Org members, all just chain smoking in this small little time window that they have to do so. This is crazy. Primark has better quality clothes than Scientology uniforms. And dude, Wish.com has better quality clothing than Scientology. Did you do the superpower rundown? And if so, what was that like? I started it, and I did the first few parts. There's like 12 different pieces, I think, to it. Some of them are very short. There's one whole section where they just there's one section where the whole thing is just them asking you, where would you be safe? Where would you be safe? Where would you be safe? And they say it's like equivalent to a whole Scientology grade. And they just ask you that same question over and over and over again until you figure it out. But I didn't get to the perceptic drills, the whole anti-gravity, blah, 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 like the whole room that you've seen, the superpower training room or whatever, because it was around that time that I was... I mentioned to my auditor, I was like, I realized I don't actually want to be on staff my whole life. I really want to follow my dream and become a writer. And I was regaled to an ethics program that lasted 5 months and went nowhere. I was not allowed to, leave my hotel room. And I was allowed to leave my hotel room, but I was like supposed to be accessible at all times. So I would either stay in my hotel room or I would be, being used for free labor. Either, I'd do a lot of manual labor for the Fourth Dynamic campaigns, or they have like the Way to Happiness building, called the public outreach, but it's just another propaganda thing. The Way to Happiness building, the Youth for Human Rights building, Narconon building. I was like doing labor for them, and just being used as like a patsy for like 5 months. I wasn't allowed to move forward. I wasn't allowed to go backwards. And it wasn't until I mentioned certain self-harm desires, that they were like, oh, well, you should have said that earlier. Yeah, you have to go now. And within 2 hours of that, I was told to leave the premises. I had to pack up, all my stuff, and I had to stay with a friend for a few days. They're just so grossly incompetent at everything that they do. But you think that they're so smart because they're using this great tech. It's like, you wonder why things take so long. It's because no one knows what the fuck to do at any given time. But it was real. So I never finished Superpower. I didn't care because I was getting out of there. I'd been there for so long. And my parents paid for the whole thing. And they were in agreement with the whole thing. So, yeah. Did you ever see a chain smokers passing around an ashtray through telekinesis? No. I've never seen a single extra normal ability in Scientology, period. even though it was a joke. It's just funny how naive their hopes are. I mean, hell, I hoped to get whatever power he was promising, but you don't see it, and you're not allowed to Google anything. So you're not going to Google Scientologist proves he has superpowers, because it doesn't exist. None ever have. Superpower is more of like a turn of phrase. It was invented to help. It was invented because L. Ron Hubbard was upset at the production level of staff members. So it's sort of designed to kind of get staff members to work harder. And yeah, they just say superpowers because they're very lofty and grandiose, like most cults. Surprised Scientology allowed smoking cigs. Not surprised at all about the chain smokers. Wonder how many shisha pipes or bongs were hidden in the closets. Anything to help with distress. What sucks about Scientology, among all the things that suck about Scientology, is that they think of drugs as barriers to spiritual gain, right? If you do drugs, you limit the amount of spiritual gain that you can get. So you have to, and every time you do drugs, you have to do the purification rundown where you sweat in a box for 5 hours a day for like 3 months. And I would know because I've done it 5 times. Yes, 5 times in my life have I done it. If I get cancer, it's because I've done 5 purifs, okay? Knock on wood there. But, like, I blame my experience in Scientology entirely. I also was on the Freewinds for a brief period, but, it's hard to say how long you have to be there before you're exposed to blue asbestos, because that place is riddled with it. Your parents invested their money into a cult, but never invested in a college education. Yeah, honestly. Because they didn't have the drive to use their college educations, they saw it as worthless. So even when I was begging to, go back to school, my parents said, "Oh, $23,000 a year, that's way too much money." I wanted a remote program to work on film, because that was my main interest, my biggest interest. I wanted to learn I wanted to do an online film program where they send you all this stuff, and you can you can learn to make movies by yourself, and that would have at least gotten me some kind of education on, like, formal education on the subject. And she said, $23,000 a year, that's too much. We're going to spend over $5 million buying and renovating a farm where we're going to build an old Western town on it and build a workshop where my father, who's never touched a power tool in his fucking life, is going to whittle sand, wooden birds, like what? He's not one to get his hands dirty usually. So he's kind of cosplaying a working class person while being a millionaire. Surprised you didn't get very sick from niacin overdosing on the purification run on 5 times. You get the squirts. Sorry to say. It's a little TMI. That's the biggest problem on that, is that they just feed you oils, and you're just it's rough. And but I was like chugging water and like electrolytes. I had to stay hydrated. I knew that would at least keep me alive in there, but you get real sleepy sometimes. You're not allowed to go to sleep. It's like, yeah, because you'll fucking die, and they don't want to be liable if you just forget to drink water while you're in a sauna. Yeah, for 5 hours a day. But I did take a lot of niacin in my day, so you heard it here first. Maybe your dad will make the world's first wooden e-meter in his workshop. Believe it or not, it would not be the first. Let me pull this up. All right. Oh, how do I do this? Screen share. Okay, we're gonna do 3 things. We're gonna do the webcam. All right. We're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do add source. We're gonna do monitor capture. Select area. I just want to get the get this little area here. Oh, fuck. Hold on, guys. Audio. I just got to add this. I didn't add a screen, like a screen sharing thing. So let me just, okay. Here we go. So look at this. Look at this right here. This is an e-meter made completely out of wood. Bet you didn't expect that, did ya? Yeah, they've done that. It's not very impressive. Also, an e-meter, it does not do what it is advertised to do. So nowadays they have these bad boys, Mark Ultra 8, which is it literally is the most worthless piece of plastic, I think, except for sentimental value, I guess, if you're a big fan of being in a cult. Do you like sci-fi and thriller horror movies? Event Horizon was a big one. Event Horizon was a real good movie. I don't watch too much horror these days just because they're all kind of the same. I think all the probably best horror movies have already been made. Nobody really has too much of an original concept at this point. Would you consider making a career out of working with your... This person really wants me to start an OnlyFans. Is that what you want? Is that what you want from me? Am I just a piece of meat to you? Fine. Subscribe to my OnlyFans. If there's money in it, I'd have to get an overwhelming amount of people. Like, not 500, not 1,000. I need like Markiplier level demand, for that kind of thing. So don't get your hopes up. I don't think this niche runs that deep. Although I do plan to like kind of expand my interests. I don't think I'm going to get Markiplier numbers anytime soon. Yeah, horror movies these days, if you can get jump scares and like people on Twitter barking about it, that's all you really need. It's not really horror, you know. You're not really trying to um scare people. You're trying to show people what you find scary. You know what I mean? Like there's no thought in script writing. I feel like in a lot of the stuff these days. I mean, this is the last thing I saw that really had like great writing. I mean, as far as horror goes, what was that movie called? Um, it's slipping my mind, but writing is few and far. Good writing is few and far between, if you ask me. Especially when it comes to um, you're working within a genre where your experience and what you think is like supposed to be scary is based only on like what you've seen in other movies. So there is just like a vacuum of I feel like uh, of content where you have to you know, people are just so burnt out these days. You have to be derivative, and you have to pull from, you know, things that you've seen in the past and just recreate it. Like Megan, that one, the Chucky, the the new Chucky or whatever. People were literally just saying, like on Twitter, talking about how she danced to a fucking pop song, and I'm like, is this a horror movie? I don't understand what this is supposed to be. Exorcist, that was a classic. Um, I've seen so many. It's hard to you know, just pick out what my favorite, you know, genre is, you know, because I have so many different kinds of movies that I watch. My favorite movie is, no one's going to guess it. I've said it several times in my life and on the internet, but nobody's going to guess it. It's just that's just, you're going to start guessing and you're going to be wrong. But if you're right, you get an award. What do you wish to or dream for yourself writing in the future? Writing genre? I read that wrong. What do you wish or dream for yourself in the future? Writing genre? I'd like to write. I'd like to direct, maybe act a little bit, mostly like produce and write. I have a bunch of projects. I have a creative partner. We've been writing, you know, scripts together for years. One of my best friends, his name is Joseph. You know, we'll probably do something at some point when it comes to, you know, whether we make a podcast or whether we do X, Y, and Z. I don't really have a lot of prospects in that area. But you know, we actually want to do original things for good reasons, because we like movies, and, you know, it's fun. And we have a couple, he's more of like a content, you know, prolific content guy. And I'm more of like, I'll squeeze out a gem every now and then, but I'm more of like, I'm a better communicator, I guess, when it comes to, you know, the pitching and things like that. So for now, I'm going to be the business and he's going to be the, you know, the legs. But we're working on some stuff. I mean, I can't really say that you're going to see it anytime soon, but I can hope, I can dream, you know. Thank you, Calvin. Have you ever been fair gamed? What was the worst? I did. I don't know, because it's never been overt, but my Facebook account, when I first released the video, was very shockingly just banned. I didn't use Facebook as much, and I was trying to kind of create a new Facebook anyway, with where I didn't have all these people who could like look in on what I was doing. My Facebook was banned completely, unredeemable, like I couldn't get it back, no matter what I tried. And I could have called Meta or whatever, and called Facebook, called the Zuck. My shit's down, Zuck. I'll give you the sweet baby raise, and you give me my account back. But no such luck. So that was like that was the weirdest one. But then there was also like, just the overall, I guess, effort that my dad and the cult have made to kind of suppress my content in lieu of his. Like he probably spends so much money on SEO, on search engine optimization. It's crazy. Okay, okie dokie, artichoke. What do we got? What time is it? 6:30. Oh my god, how long have we been going? 2 hours. Well, I gonna order some food maybe. Your favorite movie is The Matrix? You wish. And it's not The Big Lebowski. Wrong. I wish I had a big wrong button. See, Twitch has a bunch of like stuff you can set up. I don't know anything about that. Gotta like get back into HTML just to, you know, just to set up, some cool stuff for Twitch. But what's it called? Streamlabs just does not work for me. It does not work, period, for my computer at all. And now everything on Streamlabs costs money. Like everything on Streamlabs costs money. So it's like not even worth it. You don't need to work with wood when you have this big old sword hanging around. Let me tell you. You break into my house, it's gonna knock you upside the head. This is polypropylene, dog. Unbreakable. Okay? Full force. Y'all see that documentary that iDubbbz did? Honestly, I'd love to just collect swords, but I think I'd like to move into kind of like a bigger space. The apartment I'm in now is not very. I wouldn't want to decorate it because it's like really shitty, and the walls are made of that really gross like popcorn. Like that textured like drywall that's flaky and you can't hang anything on it. If you put tape on it, it just rips the like plaster off the wall. So if I move into a better place, when I move into a better place, I should say, I'm just gonna get a bunch of swords. I think that'd be pretty cool. I mean, honestly, if Big Pharma was sending me checks, this would not be my setup. I'd have a pad for sure. I'm not singing because that one girl made me get in my head about it. So I'm just singing in my head and I'm like moving. I usually sing quite a lot, but y'all ain't gonna get that. I'm gonna need a lot more people watching, I think, before I invest that much emotional energy into that. At 100K, I will release the singing. I do sing quite a bit. I wouldn't say I'm bad. I have very low self-esteem, guys. You got to understand. I was raised in a cult. I did a little head voice thing. I was singing in my head. Yeah, at 100K, I'll release a full video of me singing, all professional like, and you know, I promise. You've heard it here first. You know, if you wanna market my stuff just to boost me that little bit, that would be sick. But that's, I think, I'd have to have. Don't have. Oh my gosh, you just said don't have self-esteem. Everyone thinks you're wonderful. Oh, you're saying I just shouldn't have that low self-esteem? Oh, I'm cured. BRB, I'm just gonna. I don't know. What do people with self-esteem say? I'm. Ugh, I don't want to say that. You get the gist. I'm cured now. I have big self-esteem. Thank you. 100K singing, 150K strip. There are some thirsty ass hoes in my chat right now. I'm gonna say, if you think 150K is all it would take, you got to think mathematically. This is you're thinking too small. Okay. I'll let you use your imagination for now. Thirsty for just anyone, and I promise you that. Well, good. If it keeps you coming back for more, let's let the mystery, you know. I'm trying to look good for my birthday, so I'm going to keep going to the gym. Maybe I'll do some thirst trapping on my birthday, but not until I feel like I can, you know. Being tall doesn't change how I view about myself, you know. It's kind of hard. Like, even like, as a funny example is Hassan Piker thinks he's in the big boy club. He thinks he's a chonker because he got a little meat on his, because he's got some padding. This man is insane. He is yacked. We're the same height, but he is so much, like, he's like huge. His shoulders are massive, and he thinks he's fat. It's a self-esteem thing, you know. Psychotic behavior, this man. Thoughts on Jordan Peterson? Jordan Patterson. Jordan Patterson. Who is Jordan Patterson? Jordan Patterson is a baseball outfielder. He's an American former baseball outfielder and first baseman. He played in Major League Baseball for the Colorado Rockies. Well, I think, you know, if you like baseball, you like baseball. That's all I can really say about that. Oh, Peterson.
Ooh, yeah, you're getting into narcissism of a different variety. Not a huge fan, is what I will say. Takes himself a little too seriously to have the opinions that he does. I appreciate anyone who's interested in psychology from a genuine perspective, but he's a little too biased for my take. And he had that really insane take on Twitter where he was like, "It's getting harder to find child." Well, I don't know if I can say that. He said some really cringe stuff on Twitter, unabashedly, and even his his workplace is like, bro, you got to tone it down, or we're gonna have to. Dog, he sells a bust of himself. What do you mean he's not narcissistic? This man sells a stone bust of himself. Crazy take. Crazy take. Just get slightly better. Just don't follow one guy, is my option. Like, listen to what everyone has to say and listen to who is hurting more people than who isn't. You know, don't just follow one guy and say, oh, I get all my information from this guy. That's the problem, okay? You can't be unbiased and just follow a guy you think is smart. That is where you get into sort of this kind of cultic obsession of gurus and idols, and you know why Dr. Berg has such a ferocious fan base. It's like, pepper in people who have viewpoints that you don't agree with or perhaps haven't heard before. You know, you hear a lot about what he says, but you don't hear how people who he's talking about feel about what he's saying. You understand? Like, you can't be an authority on people you don't represent. And I don't think that he has enough empathy for people who don't agree with him. You know, understand what I'm saying? I don't have to, you know, have parasocial relationships with people who want their face to be synonymous with, you know, intelligence or love, or, you know, they just, like, I just don't give a shit. And when he starts talking about how men should be men and women should be women, like the olden days, back when you could beat your wife, back when women were in the kitchen where they belong, he's just like, how about no? Oh, the Ethan Klein and Hassan roasts, those are so funny. Every time I watch Leftovers, I was in the middle of it before we started the new episode of their Leftovers podcast. Yeah, they haven't done him in a while, but they do those Jordan Peterson, even Hassan's Jordan Peterson impression is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying anyone's like evil, right? I'm just saying that, you know, because I believe you can have a lot of bad opinions and, you know, not realize that you're doing harm. Okay. But, like, you know, it's just not, but eventually, you know, if you want me to care, you're going to have to show a little bit of, you know, I can be wrong maybe sometimes. Not like I give a shit again about Jordan Peterson or his politics. He's Canadian. And you know how those guys are. Jeez. Oh my god, I love this. Can I pull up? I'm gonna see if I can pull up Twitter. I'm gonna pull a Hassan right now out of nowhere and just pull up Twitter. Maybe we can just see what my Twitter feed is. I mean, this is just because there's this one tweet I want to show you. A lot of Scientology stuff. This one is crazy. Look at this. So this hate monitor, this is one of Scientology's he's definitely one of those. This is one of those Scientology run accounts, hate monitor, who takes this person, Ulito et Veritas, and took their content and made their own little propaganda about it. Look at this cute little thing that they did. Public relations representative for Mike Rinder, rapist defender. Oh, crazy. Why do they say that? Because Mike Rinder defended a guy by the name of Paul Haggis who was sued. There were some allegations about him. I wasn't too into that. I didn't pay too much attention to that because I never met Paul Haggis. But Scientology had a blackmail file on him, so there was a lot of thought that, it is possible that they were able to, blackmail him into losing the case. I don't really care. I mean, because again, I never met the guy, but this person posts a lot about how Scientology is sort of hurting the world, and they do a lot of reposting and a hell of a lot of tagging. Let me tell you, they tag so many people. But she says, I have moved up from mentally unstable and vulnerable to your chief PR rep. Can I hope for a raise? Because literally all they do, hate monitor, all they do is make this like cheesy propaganda. The cheesiest. These Scientology and the internet do not mix under any circuit. It's like oil and water. They do not understand how the internet works, and because the only people who like their content are Scientologists on Twitter, and there are not many. I don't know if y'all saw this. If I type in Dr. Eric Berg, I don't know if you know this, but I was actually able to, when I talked about how my dad was buying subscribers on YouTube, he deleted his whole Twitter. And when it came back, it became this soulless ad page. Look, it's just 15% off nutritional yeast tablets on Thursday. On #Thursday, #January 12th. Hair formula. Holiday flash sale, 15% off. 15% off is also not a lot of money. These are expensive products. Holiday flash sale, 15% off on all hair products. Code X9hair15. The perfect. Oh, they're not even sure. This is a bot for sure. He has a bot who's posting the perfect #gift 20% off. The #healthy #keto plan book with this code X2HKPBK20 URL. Like a robot runs this account. No shot, a robot does not run this account. Dude, if Oz is watching this right now, guys, do better. Like, at least have, like, some people that don't agree with you posting for you. Because, you're really hurting yourself. You're shooting yourself in the foot just about every day with these incredibly cringe tweets. Oh my God, it is so fucking pathetic. Let me tell you, it's so cringe. Like, anyone under 90 finds your shit unbearable. And it just keeps going like this, guys. Oh, I was like, what? That's an ad. I was like, what the fuck? Welcome to Shop Dr. Berg products. We do not use punctuation. Because he was so afraid of the bad press. He just couldn't. He follows no one. Yeah, no replies, no nothing. One like, one like, one like. Yet somehow he has 370 followers. Look at his interaction, though. I mean, we know the view count is fake by this point. 0 views, but 1 like. I'm thinking the bot probably likes his own posts, because I think that counts, right? He's afraid of the punctuation. He might be. I mean, whatever robot is managing this bizarre account is definitely, you know, this is some chat GPT shit. I bought some digestive enzymes, $45. Dude, and his products are just more expensive. You know, we're going to bite the bullet. We're going to go to his account. Let's see. Hair product. Shut the fuck up. Hair product. Or hair formula. $40. This is a small bottle, guys. I love this this like little scratched out thing. It was $55 until he never sold it at that price. You know, he loves to do this. He loves to it's like a marketing strategy that everyone does, but he loves it because it makes you think that he's giving you more value than you're actually getting. Oh, the powders are where the money is, let me tell you. Ooh, and these have gotten more expensive too. When I was there, these were way cheaper. Turmeric latte. Oh. Grape electrolyte powder. He used to give us the flavoring when I was in his office. He used to give us the flavoring samples, and he never took our advice ever. We tried all the little flavors. Let me tell you, keto shake, $60. He's charging $60. Oh my god, he has upped his price. His margins must be fantastic now. He's milking y'all for all you're worth. God. And on Amazon, there are so many cheaper alternatives. It's crazy. Beauty. Oh, this is my favorite. He's doing hair shit now. So he's doing like serum. $20 for this tiny ass bottle. Let's see, how small is this bottle? 1 fluid ounce. Guys, that's probably one of the biggest ripoffs since that Mac Pro, that big boxy Apple computer with the cheese grater on it. It's probably a worse deal than that. Scalp and hair follicle serum. He has shampoo and conditioner. This is late stage guru capitalism. This is like he's run out of shit to say, so he's just like making shit up now. Like he needs to overcompensate. A $15, supposedly for a single bottle. A single bottle of conditioner, guys. What was that one? What was that shampoo that made your hair fall out? Chi? Insane. Limited time deal. Joint and muscle therapy cream. Okay, guy. I'll just enter his email in there. But you'd have to promise not to email him. Bacti cleanse. Oh, that sounds gross. Magnesium oil. Ugh. Topical spray. For what? Aloe vera. Apply 4. You're going to soak your body in magnesium, guys. It's the easiest way to support healthy joints and muscles, says a man in a cult. Oh, but here we go. I love this. He controls who, like, this is also, like, very common, but he controls who, he has to approve and disapprove the reviews. I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot of people have purchased this at all, but if somebody leaves a low star review, he'll usually, like, send them something and be like, can you remove your review? But he had this, like, he had exported, like, a bunch of reviews from this one company that he had been working with, and it made him, it like singled out only the 5-star reviews. So he had this claim of, oh, I have 5,000 5-star reviews from his practice. That was a long time ago. Books. I remember just before I left, his book, which he had revised like 4 or 5 times, still had like gross errors in it. And it wasn't until I pointed it out to him and he was like, oh my God. It's like, yeah, proofread your shit, dumbass. But he never took anybody's opinion seriously. If it didn't directly impact him, he didn't give a shit. So why should I care? Ooh, look at this bundle. Good Lord, almost $170 for 2 books and some vitamins. There's got to be a better way, guys. Oh, the neck back massage tool that everybody thought was a sex toy. Oh, a steal. So what I love about his courses. Epsom salt baths are great. Yeah, Epsom salt's great, but he didn't invent them. You know, you can go to Target and get up a cheap bag for like definitely much less than he'll ever sell you. Like, if it's not going to make him a gross profit, he's not going to sell it. What I love about his courses is it's just YouTube videos that he's put on private, that he puts in order, and is like, what have you learned from this? That's all it is. So if you just watch his YouTube video, you can skip all this. I mean, if you even find his information valuable, like, nothing in here is going to be better than, you know, anything else. Really cheap shaker bottles too. I remember he had to get a new shaker bottle company because there were too many people who were saying like the plastic was like chipping off into the bottle. I am very excited. Start. I am just very confused as to when to take the medicines. Guys, we got to help her out. Deal's hot. Oh, look how gray he is. Oh, get away, please. Oh, that's the video. Look at how old he is. Good fucking Lord. His eyebrows are white. And his eyes are starting to sink in a little bit. Is he wearing foundation? Guys, this guy's wearing foundation. My father is wearing foundation. Good Lord. And his hands are... Oh, this man is aging. I don't know if y'all ever thought he was a smart guy. Look at him. Look at this. This is what you'll look like if you do his program. I've seen 70-year-olds that look better. And he's only like mid-50s. Kids chewable multivitamin. Yeah, get your kids into a cult too. Oh yeah, the Just for Men that he definitely has. I mean, my mom went gray in her early 40s. and she was using Just for Men on her roots. I think she probably still does, but I mean, she can afford now to go to the hair salon, and just get all her shit redone whenever she needs to. But I think he doesn't use he keeps the gray now because he thinks it looks distinguished. But he used to have to use Just for Men on his eyebrows. It makes a lot more sense now that maybe he just like, look, the neck wrinkles and the eye. Like, who takes advice from this guy? I mean, I get it if I'm like, being controlled by a narcissistic cult, but like on my own, I'm like, dog, this is rough. The bundles are where he really gets his money from. We were, a part of the training was you had to kind of push people oh, sorry, this looks super blown out probably on your side. I doubt you can even see this. Doesn't look very good. We were always pushed to get his keto consultants to sell all the big packages first because we weren't making enough money on. He was making millions of dollars, but it wasn't reaching his. He's like his own little stock investor, where he has to push himself to increase his products. What is the average gross margins on his products? I think he's like 60%. He's probably increased it since then, or he's just increased the price. But he used to brag about it was about 60% per product. Guys, you want to spend $20 on tea? Yeah, there we go. $20 on turmeric tea. Has zero nutritional value. No, I'm sure turmeric's fine, but for $20, I think not. Yeah, no, the thumbs up, that's so cringe. Look at that. Look at this. Look at that. The soulless eyes. But that's his brand, is that as long as he keeps smiling and as long as people, think that he's doing as long as people think that he's a nice guy and he can block everyone who doesn't like his shit, then there you go. Watch me, pay attention to me, look at me, I'm so smart, watch me, why aren't you watching me, I'm so smart, pay attention. It's like, Jesus Christ. And he doesn't talk about how to get off drugs because he'd have to talk about Scientology. He doesn't talk about literally anything else. He's closed himself off entirely. He's doing a lot of clickbait, though. A lot of clickbait. Especially in his thumbnails. Twitter is a nightmare since Elon, man. It's just like so random. I mean, not any more random, I guess, than it used to be, but if there weren't so many people that I need to talk to on Twitter, I would just delete all social media, honestly. If it wasn't like completely essential. Okay. I'm gonna get some grub. Oh, Penguins at the Capitals. Caps and Penguins game. I heard that's a pretty expensive game to get tickets for. Okay, I'm gonna shift over to. I'm gonna order some food, guys. Gotta go follow you on Twitter. Please do. I'm all over there. I'm talking. I'm sharing stuff on Twitter. I'm joining the conversation just as much as the next guy. Oh, TMZ reported David Miscavige, the leader of Scientology, is playing a cat and mouse game with lawyers trying to serve him a child sex trafficking lawsuit. At least that's what the lawyers think now that he's allegedly vanished. TMZ's a little late, but that is essentially what's happening. How far do you live from your family? Wouldn't you like to know? Oh, thank you, We Are the People. Lunch is on me. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get this verification thing. I think Google, I hadn't had my address set up so that you have to verify yourself physically to get any of the AdSense, and so I've just been doing this to kind of get used to it, and it'd be a nice way to make a little money while I further my other interests, but there's certain things that I can't talk about because certain people are watching who would just love to narrow down sort of where I am and what I'm doing and what my patterns are, I guess. So that's why I don't answer all the questions. Some questions are just better left a mystery. But you have to verify yourself. So they have this mail they sent that the letter was returned to sender, but you can only request it once every 3 weeks. So I have to wait quite a while. But I think it's the same day I have that interview next week. Oh man, let me tell you, this interview, guys. This interview is gonna be so sick. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be my big break, but it is something that I'm just overjoyed to be doing. I'm very nervous. Oh, it's gonna be so sick. And it will be video recorded, so you will get to see everything. Oh, right, my dad's got a live tomorrow. Should I go live when my dad goes live? I don't think I can, actually. I have something to do around that time. He goes live at 11 on his thing, but if you want to test whether or not my dad's live is pre-recorded, you can go and spam his chat with questions about... I can join his chat. I do sometimes, and I put in there. I don't think he has me blocked because I think he wants to keep an eye on me for some reason. I'm gonna order. When you start gaming, I'm gonna order some food, and then I'm gonna switch over to the game. I was really kind of iffy on what game I wanted to play, but Star Citizen's been up here for a while. I also actually, you know what we should play? A game that I loved on PlayStation that I was recently able to snag on Steam. We'll play some Mad Max. Y'all ever play that game? The Mad Max, the game they made? God, it was so good. I should do an interview with Alex Stein. No Valorant. I'm not good at. I was never good at CS:GO, so I feel like I'd just be clowning myself playing Valorant. Alex Stein, I don't think I could handle him conversationally. I feel like he's just too unpredictable, and he's very aggressive, and he's kind of like a caricature of what a Scientologist, of what the goofy making fun of Scientologists kind of person is. Aaron finds everyone who mocks Scientology funny. I think it's good that we mock Scientology because they're not a great organization, but what can I say? I prefer tact. I prefer in a way that, because you don't have to really exaggerate. I thought about doing some Scientology skits, sort of like a Louis Theroux, My Scientology Movie, kind of like what's a day in the life of being a staff member. But it's you got to get the people together, and you got to get the space, and you got to get the uniforms, and it's like it's a whole thing. Guys, you're distracting me. I'm trying to look for my food. What should I eat? Okay. I'm going to play it simple. Dull Rose got it. I gotta keep it simple, guys. Where is it? That song's stuck in my head now. The I Can't Stop the Loneliness song. It's just playing over and over in my head. Let me order this. Pizza, burger, Chinese pasta. That's really the circle. You throw some Taco Baco in there. Taco Bell is like literally, if there was a religion I agreed with, Taco Bell would be in there somehow. Although I can't always eat shit, so I have to, use what I know. I will say I'm on the East Coast, so I can't have In-N-Out. A guy who goes by In-N-Out drops in on my streams sometimes and has and just super chats. I was so confused the first time. I thought he was actually In-N-Out, and I was like, "Holy shit!" But 'twas not. Still a nice guy. Asks poignant questions when he donates, so that's good. I like a good question. I like questions that I can actually, like, that I have to think about, or that take into consideration sort of the complexity of, or that like remember things that I say. I get a lot of people who ask me like the same questions that I've answered like a million times, but that's fine. I'm just starting out more or less. Do I like my burgers medium rare? Is there really any other way? Do you want a well done burger? Or a burger that's going to fall to pieces because it's not even done cooking? One that still has a heartbeat? There's an order to things, I feel. I feel like there is a correct order to things, but it's not my place to impose my opinion on all burger eaters. All right, let's do a Sprite because I can fucks with a Sprite. Because I would do an unsweetened iced tea, but they always send me sweet iced tea. No one knows how to send unsweet iced tea. I put it in there. I taste it. It's never unsweetened. It's always sweetened. So I might as well just do what I know I'll like. I'll do some nugs in there too. We're going simple, guys. Super simple. Taco Bell makes me throw up. If I'm on a bit of a bad streak, I will admit. I don't usually eat really bad food. But if I eat, let's say, McDonald's for more than one meal in a row, I will throw it up. That is just almost guaranteed. Taco Bell, I mean, it's also like getting so expensive these days. It's like, who can really afford that? So I don't eat it every single day, is what I mean by that. Oh. Did you hear my elbows crack? The U.S. restaurant I missed the most is IHOP. I had IHOP the other day. It was fucking delicious. I mean, I went there. I had their BLT. It was like a new IHOP, so the people back there still gave a shit. They haven't been like torn down yet by doing the same thing every single day. But I had their BLT not too long ago, and it was pretty good, pretty crisp. You know? How about a vegan burger? God for the animals and the planet, maybe. If you're vegan, I support that. Good for you. I can't do it because hard to teach an old dog new tricks. You know what I'm saying? No, but I understand where my simplicities are, and my mental health is not high enough, I think, to totally restrict myself like some of these people. Okay. All right. I will be right back. I'm going to set some stuff up to make it a little colder in here. When I boot up the game, it's going to be toasty. So I'm going to probably change a little bit, and I will be right back.